Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here with me today. I want to share something deeply personal, a story about a time in my life when my understanding of love was very different from what it is now. I used to believe that if I could just love someone enough, with every fiber of my being, I could make them happy. And if they were happy, truly happy, then maybe, just maybe, they would stop hurting me. Looking back, it sounds so naive, but at that time it was the only logic I had. All I wanted was peace. I wanted to be a good wife, the kind you see in old movies, the one who always has his favorite meal ready, who keeps the house spotless, and who can smile through the deep worry lines she feels forming on her face. I became an expert at measuring my days by his moods. I learned to interpret the slightest shift in his voice, the way he'd set his glass down on the table, the length of the silence before he'd answer a simple question. These were my weather vanes, telling me if a storm was brewing. On the calm days, I held on to that calm so tightly. I treated it like a precious, fragile bird I was cradling in my hands, terrified it would fly away. And it always did. The peace never lasted. There was always something that could shatter it. A look he didn't like, a word I said too quickly, spending an extra minute at the grocery store. It felt like I was constantly failing a test I didn't even know I was taking. Eventually, I stopped going out much. It was just easier that way. My friends, one by one, drifted away. Calls went unanswered. Invitations were declined with flimsy excuses. Even visiting my own family became a source of anxiety, because the arguments that would follow weren't worth the brief joy of seeing them. I started telling myself that it was fine, that my place was at home. But the truth was, my world had shrunk. It had collapsed down to just 4 walls, and the unpredictable swings of one man's temper. One of the strangest things about living in a situation like that is how normal it begins to feel. Your reality gets warped. You start to convince yourself that this is just what marriage is like, that all couples have their secrets, that everyone has to walk on eggshells from time to time. You become fluent in the language of small lies, the ones you tell to keep the peace. Yes, I'm fine. No, I don't mind. Of course, I understand. Each little lie felt like a small sacrifice for a moment of quiet, but with each one, a piece of me was disappearing. I wasn't just that quiet little girl from my childhood anymore. I was a grown woman, fading away into the background of my own life. But it's important to say, it wasn't all darkness. There were good days. Days filled with such light and hope that they almost made me forget the bad ones. Days when he would make me laugh so hard my sides ached, when we would spontaneously dance in the kitchen while making dinner, or sit on the front porch swing, dreaming about a future that felt real and attainable. I clung to those moments like a lifeline. They were my proof, my evidence that the man I had fallen in love with was still in there somewhere, just buried beneath layers of anger and indifference. I thought, if I just held on long enough, I could dig him out. When I look back now, I don't see a foolish woman. I see someone who was trying with all her might to hold the broken pieces of her life together. I wasn't acting out of naivety, but out of a deep-seated faith, a faith in the power of love. I truly wanted to believe that love was strong enough to fix what life had broken in him and in us. But I've learned a hard lesson since then. Love, by itself, is not always enough. It cannot be the only tool you have when you're trying to rebuild a collapsing house. There were so many nights I would lie awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of his steady breathing next to me. And in that silence, I'd ask myself, who have I become? I could feel the girl I used to be, the one who dreamed big, who read fairy tale endings and believed they were possible for her. She was still in there, somewhere deep inside. But she was quiet. So tired. She was just waiting for the day she could finally come back to life. I didn't know when that day would come, or how. I just knew that it had to. Because even in the darkest, most hopeless moments, a tiny, resilient part of me still believed that I was meant for more. I was meant for more than just surviving. I was meant to live. And that belief, that tiny spark, is ultimately what saved me. If any part of this story resonates with you, if you feel like your world is shrinking or you're disappearing, please know you are not alone. It's okay to ask for help, and it's the bravest thing you can do. There are people who want to support you. You deserve to feel safe, to be seen, and to live a life that is full and vibrant. You are meant for more too. Thank you so much for listening. Please consider subscribing for more stories and conversations like this. Take care of yourselves.